going to be sampling colors off of this design, so if you want to, go ahead and take a screenshot of this image, and that way you can insert the photo into Procreate and color sample and draw along. Hello friends, and welcome back to my art channel. Today we are going to be drawing this cute Boba tea bear. Now I've already drawn this one, but I'm going to walk you through all of the steps that I took to draw him. So I'm going to shrink him down and pop him up just in the corner for reference. And we're going to create a new layer and grab our sketch brush. And we're just going to start out by sketching our base layer. So his cup is pretty much a cylinder. So we're going to start off by sketching a cylinder. And then the top lid is basically half of a sphere. So we're going to be drawing that over the top. Now always remember, when you're drawing, just break everything down into really simple shapes. That is the easiest way to draw pretty much anything, but especially if you're a beginner, it can be really overwhelming to try to look at a subject and think, oh my goodness, how am I going to even start drawing this? Whereas if you start to look at the really overwhelming things as just simple shapes, like, oh, this straw is pretty much just a little cylinder. Ears, just little circles. I'm going to find the center of the face. Now this is just a rough sketch, so don't worry if it's not perfect. Like, I'm already seeing, oh, the straw isn't quite centered. That is okay, because I'm going to show you a trick on how to get everything symmetrical using Procreate. Now, I'm sure that these tricks will work with other digital programs, but my favorite to use is Procreate. It's only $10, or at least it was when I purchased it, and that's just a one-time payment, and it's really beginner friendly. Like, it didn't take me very long to get pretty comfortable with the program, just because it's so intuitive. It's not as daunting of a program to learn as, say, Photoshop. Okay, so now that we have our rough sketch, we're going to turn down the opacity, make a new layer over it, and we're just going to sample the dark blue for the cup, and we're going to come up to the little wrench icon and go to drawing guides. Now I already have mine set to symmetry, but you can go to edit drawing guides and select symmetry here. They have lots of other ones as well, but my favorite to use is symmetry because, as you'll see, it makes everything symmetrical on both sides. So I'm going to come down to my calligraphy monoline brush. I like to use a brush that has the same width, and we're going to make sure, okay, our assisted is on, and we're just going to start by tracing. It's a little bit thick. You can just adjust the size of your brush over here. That's better. So as you can see, whatever I do on one side will be mirrored on the other side, and that is great if you're trying to create a design like this where you want everything to be clean and symmetrical. So I want the cup to be just a little bit tapered, so not perfectly straight. There we go. And we're just going to keep the bottom edge pretty rounded. I don't want to have sharp lines because when you're drawing very cutesy things, it's important not to have super sharp, scary edges. Unless that's the look you're going for, then that is totally fine. But I want to keep mine very rounded and cutesy. So that was a super easy way to draw the bottom of the cup. Now we are going to create a new layer, tap on the layer, and we're going to click Drawing Assist. And this time we're going to select the brown for the lid. And again, anything that I do on one side will be mirrored on the other. Now, one trick is if you hold down, it's going to straighten your edges. So if you were trying to achieve a straight edge, that is one trick to do, but we are not, so I'm just going to keep it rounded. Now, if you have a very obvious rounded edge and you hold, it's going to perfect your line. So for example, if I'm a little bit squiggly, it'll help round out those edges for me if I just hold my pen down. Now, it's important to be patient with yourself and don't be afraid to go back and try again. As you can see, I've taken a couple attempts to get the correct round edges that I want. Some cute little round ears. And now for the lid, I'm going to start out from here, see how that goes. So I'm not super happy with that. As you can see, there is a little dip in right here, and that's okay. We're just going to try again, coming out from the edge this time. Now I think that looks a lot better. So we'll just come up here, and I'm not going to go all the way across because I like the look of the lid not being completely symmetrical on all sides. I want to have a little bit of variety, so I'm going to quickly turn off the assist, and I'm just going to freehand my own little connection. So as you can see, it's not perfectly even on both sides, and I like that because it gives it a little bit more of a hand-drawn look rather than just like a robot drew it or something. I'm just going to come clean up the edges, and I want these edges to connect, so I'm going to bring it around and connect the edges. And you can always go back, it's one of the beautiful things about digital, go back and clean up your lines. Oh, we forgot to turn back on drawing assist. That's okay, I'll just do it freehand for cleaning up this side. So yeah, if I had drawing assist on, it would have cleaned up both sides at the same time, but that's okay. Great, and now I'm going to turn drawing assist back on because I want this on both sides. I'm going to erase the line where the ear connects to the head. There we go. And last, we're just going to create the line where the straw meets the lid. Cute. Okay, from here, we're going to draw the straw. So I'm going to create a layer actually underneath the lid layer. Turn on drawing assist, and we're going to sample the gold color of the straw. I'm just going to start out right where our sketch is, and if I hold down one of my fingers on the screen while I'm dragging up, it'll make both of the lines perfectly straight and parallel to each other. Going to draw the inside of the straw to show some depth. Great, and now we're going to move on to the face. So I'm going to create a layer on top of everything else. Again, turn on drawing assist, and we're going to sample its eye color, which is a dark brown. And I'm going to draw a circle, hold, and it will make my circle more perfect. Drag and drop. It's one of my favorite tricks. You just drag the color you want, as long as the object that you drew is closed like that. You can just drag your color and drop it, and it'll fill it. Now you will usually get little white lines around the edges that you just have to color in, but that's not a huge deal. It's pretty easy. Okay, and then from here, we are going to add in his little highlights. So I'm going to sample the white background, and draw a big circle and then a smaller circle. Now zooming away, as you can see, it kind of makes him look like he's cross-eyed when we did it with the drawing assist on. So I'm actually going to turn drawing assist off, and I'm just gonna freehand it. Big circle and a little circle. Little highlights in the eyes. Super cute. Okay, so from here, we are going to move on to the inside of the cup, and we're also going to extend the straw into the cup. So let's do that first. Sample the straw color, come back to the straw layer, and I'm going to start from here just to make sure we are going in the same direction. I'm going to drag it down, and then super easy, I'm just going to erase where I don't want the straw to show through, which is on the lid, because the lid is going to be a solid color. And I can always come back and erase that part later, but I'm going to move on to the most important part, which is the tea. So I'm going to sample the lightest color in this bubble tea. It may look like there's a lot of different colors happening, but I will show you how to break that down later in the process, so don't worry too much. We're going to sample the lightest color on the top, and I'm going to create a layer on top of the straw layer. This layer is not going to be equal on both sides, as you can see, so we're not going to turn on drawing assist for this one, but I am going to follow the same angle as the cup edge. And I'm not going to go all the way up to the edge because I want it to look like the cup has some depth. So we're going to stop just about there. I'm going to follow the bottom, and again, drag and hold. And we can always come back in and clean up these edges. No problem. I'm going to smooth out this edge a little bit because it looks a little bit pointed. And then from here, we're going to make the tea look like there's a little bit of movement. It's not just flat and stagnant. And this will also help show some depth. So we're going to come down and up. I'm going to try that again. Again, there's no problem with starting over again. So now we have our closed shape. I'm going to drag the color and drop it. And since we put this layer in front of our straw layer, we don't have to worry about erasing the leftover lines because they're already covered. Now I'm just going to, as you can see, there's the little white outer line. I'm just going to go in and color that in and clean up some of these edges. I'm going to clean this one up a little bit. Perfect. And now we're going to sample the inside part of the tea, and this time we are going to go behind the straw layer. New layer, and I'm going to go up and have a little bit show through the back. This is a great way of adding depth to your illustrations. Even if you have a more graphic style like I do, it's still important for your artwork to look believable in the sense that it's sitting in a 3D space and not just like paper cutouts, unless that's your style again, which that is totally fine. For me, I like to add a little bit of depth. Perfect. So from here, we're going to move on to our bubbles. So I'm going to sample the main color of the bubbles. We're going to create a new layer above our T layer. Now I do want these circles to be pretty perfect, so I'm going to draw a circle. As you can see, it's a little bit more of an oval, but if I hold my pinky down and drag, I can keep it a perfect circle. Drag color, drop, color in my edges. And you can be pretty flexible with the sizes of the bubbles, where you put them. This is all up to you. Because when you look at real bubble tea, they're not going to be all perfectly aligned. Some might be different sizes, and also making them different sizes helps some to look further away, because the further away an object is, the smaller it looks. So say like this bubble's a little smaller, it helps it look like it's further back in the tea than say this bubble, which is right up against the edge of the cup. And you can add as many bubbles as you want. I'm not going to add too many just because I like to keep my designs pretty simplistic, and I don't want the bubble area to get overcrowded or have bubbles overlapping each other. So from here, I'm going to sample the color on the lid for the bear, and we're going to make a new layer right underneath the line layer for the lid, and this time I am going to turn on Drawing Assist. And I'm just going to color right inside the edges, and we're going to use our drag and drop trick to fill in the color nice and fast. I'm just going to drag and drop. I'm going to go and clean up all of my little white edges. If anyone knows how to avoid this in Procreate, please let me know. I have not figured out a way to do it, but I would love to. It's not a huge deal, like I said, but it would save quite a bit of time in the long run. Okay, so now I'm going to move our sketch layer to the very top so we can still see the rest of the bear's face. And you can either keep the opacity really low, or what I like to do is I like to tap on the N on the layer and scroll up to multiply. There's all different kinds of settings you can play with here, but the ones I use the most are multiply and overlay. I'm going to use multiply, and now as long as the layer is on top of all your other layers, the sketch will always show through regardless of whatever color you picked. So for example, even if my sketch color was the same color as the bear's head, I'll lock that, fill the layer, you can still see the sketch layer showing through. Double tap to undo. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the straw colors. So let's move up to this yellow, come underneath the straw line, add a new layer. We're going to have to do some erasing, but that is fine. Draw along the outer edge, fill in those little annoying white lines, come back down, fill. Now we've added some nice depth by showing that the straw is going into the tea because we have the tea overlapping in the front and in the back. Okay, so in order to see the tea on the top, we're just going to come back up to our bear line layer, and we're going to erase out parts where we don't want the straw to be covered. And then I'm going to go back to our head base color, and again, erase out the parts that we don't want to be covered because we want to show the straw going into the bear's head, which sounds kind of disturbing, but it's a cute design, so we're not going to worry about it. Now I'm just filling in the little white parts that were sticking out from the straw. Now we're almost done with all of the base colors. We still have to do his face base color, so I'm going to come over here, sample that tan color for his face, come on top of the base color, and turn on Drawing Assist, and I'm going to create an oval for his little mouth, or I guess his muzzle. Now, one trick to making your characters look very cute is to have all of the facial features on about the same line. So you can see that the eyes and the nose and the mouth are all going to be pretty squished together. Whereas if you were, say, to have the eyes more up here, the nose in the middle, and then the mouth on the bottom, it would look less kawaii. So that's a good trick to making your characters look more kawaii. Some ovals for the ears. Cute, and since we had our Drawing Assist on, it applied it to both ears. Now we're going to move to the cheeks, sample the cheek color, and since the cheeks go a little bit behind his eyes, we're going to go right underneath the eye layer, turn on Drawing Assist, and we're going to make some cute oval cheeks. Fill that in. Very cute. Now, it's okay if you want to take artistic liberty, that is totally fine. I'm taking a little bit artistic liberty even with my own design, and that is okay because we are going to have two cute little Boba Bear designs in the end, and they're each going to be unique in their own way. So let's draw the rest of the facial features. I'm going to sample the nose color, come above our tan layer. Just going to draw a cute little oval and fill that. Now, I didn't use Drawing Assist, but one way you can still use it is Drawing Assist, if you choose symmetry, will have this line going down the exact center of your canvas. So if you want to line everything up, just line up this green line with the center line. Now the nose is perfectly centered. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, center it again. Very cute. And now I'm going to sample the eye color and create a little mouth. Just a simple little smile. You can make him have whatever kind of expression you want. Now the mouth line is a little bit big for my taste, so I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, maybe not that much. Just play around with it, see what you prefer. I think I like that a little bit better. Okay, so now we are ready to move on to the last base color, which is the base color for the cup. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to sample the middle blue layer, or middle blue color. I'm going to come all the way down behind our cup line, and I'm going to turn on Drawing Assist, make things go a little bit faster. Just drawing on the inside of the cup line. Drag and fill. And fill in those little pesky white lines showing through. Cute, and from here we can actually go ahead and turn off our sketch layer. Awesome. So now we are going to start adding in the details, which for me is the most fun part. So let's start with the T layer. I'm going to select it, tap it, and click Alpha Lock. Now this is going to make it so you can only draw within that layer, for example. So if I'm drawing, I can't draw outside of that layer. Now, since we already have the lightest color, we're going to move down to the second lightest color, which is in the middle, a little bit of a darker orange. And we're just gonna follow the wave design that we have going on the top. I'm going to close off and drag and drop. Clean up the lines. Cool, and from here I'm going to sample the darkest layer. Let's see if this works. Just drag and drop. Yes, it worked, just on the bottom. And I'm just going to go in. You can kind of see that the edges aren't super clean, so I'm just going to go in and clean those up. And make sure we have nice clean lines. Great. And I'm going to add the final white line, which will actually go on top of the straw layer. I'll just make a layer right above since the straw layer is already behind, and we'll draw, I'm going to thicken up this line a little bit. Draw a line going across the top. I think just this adds a nice extra layer of dimension. Okay, and from here we are going to add in the little color variances on the straw. So I'm going to come up here, I believe, let's see. Okay, so we had the lighter yellow selected, so I'm going to select the darker yellow, come up, alpha lock that layer, and we're going to start at the top, just drag a line all the way down, hold down my pinky so it's straight, and let go. Drag and drop, drag and drop. Color the inside of the straw. Perfect. And we can go ahead and add the highlights to the straw as well, so sample the white color. And I want the highlights to be a little thicker, so I'm going to thicken up my brush, hold down my pinky to keep it in a straight line. Perfect. And if you want your highlights to be a little lighter, or to be able to have control over your highlights, I'll show you a way to do that. So we're going to double tap to undo those, and just create a layer on top of the straw base layer. So say I thought, oh, that's a little bit too bright. I'm going to come over here and I can adjust the opacity so it's not quite as bright. I think around 60% looks good. There we go. And from here we are going to add our shadows to our T layer. Now since we have a lot of different colors, well, a lot of different shades of colors going here, it's not going to be quite as simple as just sampling a darker color like we did for the straw and coloring it in that way. Instead, we're going to do it the nice and easy way. I'm going to sample the light yellow color, come up to the T layer, make layer on top, tap, and hit clipping mask. Now this will only allow us to draw within the T layer. However, unlike alpha lock, if we were drawing directly on the layer, if we don't like what we drew, we can just toggle it on and off or delete it altogether. So it's a more forgiving method. So I'm going to select, let's make a new one, select multiply. Now multiply is my favorite for shading because as you can see, it adds shading to all of the layers based off of the layers, or all of the different colors we have going on. based off of the layer's color. So even if you have just one color, you can also use this trick, multiply. I really like it. It makes shading a whole lot easier, and I just used the yellow, and you can feel free to use whatever color you want for shading. A lot of people like to use blue because shade is usually a cooler color, but I wanted to keep my illustration very bright and orangey. Okay, so from here we are going to fill in the rest of the blue color for the cup, and we don't need to use multiply since it's just one flat color. So I'm going to select the darker blue, come down, alpha lock, gotta turn off drawing assist first. So my thoughts about shading, I keep it very simple. I know a lot of people get confused just because, I mean, there's so many different ways to approach color and light, but the way I'm approaching it here is very simple. I'm imagining that the light source is coming from the upper left and hitting the object from the left side, therefore the right side is going to be in shadow. So that is why I'm starting from darker on this side to lighter on this side. Let's grab our lighter blue. And finally, our lightest color, which is the very lightest blue. There we go. And now we are going to add the shading to the bear head. Grab our darker orange, turn off drawing assist, alpha lock. Now we want to follow the form, and since this is a rounded shape, we're going to create our curved edge rather than just a straight edge. Grab our lighter color for the highlight. Again, the light is coming from upper left side, so the left side is going to be the brightest and the lightest, whereas the light can't as easily hit this side, therefore this side is going to be in shadow. Okay, now the last thing we are going to do before we move on to final details are shade and light the bubble tea. So we're going to grab our dark brown, find our bubble tea layer, alpha lock. Again, imagining the light coming from this direction and following the form, keeping it round on the edge. Going to show the bottom right side is in shadow. And then we're going to, can't forget this little bow, come up and sample the color for the highlights. Show that the light is coming from the left side. Going to shrink down my brush a little bit. Perfect. Now for the last final details, I like to add some texture, and I also want to add a little bit of extra sparkles within the bubbles. So I'm going to select this light yellow color, going to create a layer actually underneath our multiply layer on our tea color, and I'm just going to create little dots to signify sparkles I think this is just a fun way to add some extra highlights in there. Cute. And we're also going to come up, and if you can see, I also did the same thing on the face, just a little bit of dots for texture. So we're going to sample the light color for the bear. You can create this on a new layer if you want to, or you can leave it on the base head layer. Just going to go in and draw, not too many, but just a couple little dots here and there. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just think that it adds a cool little texture to a very graphic style. And there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you had a lot of fun with this and what character design you would like to see next. See you next time.